It wasn't part of my plan, but yeah, it turned out to be us getting a tree, and then come to find out, it must have been the tree that was sitting on the bottom of the rack because it was the dirtiest tree I've ever seen.
All right. Welcome to the Predict It Weekly Markets podcast, where we analyze the news through the lens of Predict It's markets. I'm your co-host, Jacob Studwell, here with prediction market savant. I'm going back to savant, Garth Yuckham. A bunch to discuss, but I do want to ask you if your Thanksgiving was good and if you already have Christmas music on in the back.
Christmas music has been on for over a week now, and Thanksgiving was wonderful. I think everybody is well fed, and I think we did it a couple of times. So
Yeah, I know I'm well fed, so I'm good to go. I think we're ready to jump into things. Our main story today will be the TN-07 special election. We'll get to that in a bit, but I do want to cover some of the hotter topics. Let's start really quickly with just a note. Andy Beshear endorsed Janet Mills for U.S. Senate in Maine. Interesting cross-state endorsement there. Doesn't seem to have moved the market at all. Graham Plattner's still at 62 cents. Janet Mills still at 34 cents. The more days go on, the older Janet Mills gets. Is that going to play into this at all, or will we just kind of have it on, consistent run now?
I mean, this is classic. We're thinking about the 2028 election, and Andy Beshear is doing his best of getting out and backing people, backing different horses in different races. I don't think Graham Plattner is that palpable for somebody like Andy Beshear. So going after Janet Mills and saying, "Okay, I'll back you," even if it doesn't work out, he's staying in his lane. And it just makes a lot of sense, even if it feels a little bit random for the governor of Kentucky to come and back a potential Democratic Senate nomination in Maine. So,
Yeah, they're in the same bucket, but I think you're right. This is just a campaigning tactic. Want to kind of back the right horses here. Interesting to see that the market's still kind of bearish on Janet generally. So maybe a little bit money to make there. I mean, it might be closer to 50-50 at a certain point, but, probably wouldn't buy above that. Moving on quickly to Pete Hegseth and the potential cabinet shake-off. I think it was shake-up. Politico had a story about how somebody might get booted from the cabinet as soon as possible. Then there were some reports about Kash Patel getting kicked out. Kash Patel right now on the market. Will Kash Patel leave office in 2025? Best offers 10 cents. So 1 in 10 chance generally. And then if we go over to Pete Hegseth being the first cabinet member to leave office, that's at around 5 cents, although it did jump up to 12 cents. Any interest in Kash or Pete double tap Hegseth to leave office?
I mean, I think the clock runs out on both of these. I mean, I think that's kind of priced into both markets. The Kash Patel thing. I think the White House is focused on Russia and Ukraine and their push. I mean, I think that we can get into that a little bit on Tennessee. But the White House right now, especially in year one of Trump's second term, is really focused on its foreign engagements. And unless something really, really bad comes out, especially on the Kash Patel, it was an MS Now article that came out last week that kind of, circled the wagons, that there were rumors. But for this year, I don't like this. I mean, if we had another 6 months on it, then maybe I think I would be buying that. But going into the holiday period, I just don't think there's any appetite. It's too much. It would be too much of a distraction. You'd lose a whole entire news cycle on it. So no, I don't like either. I think people will forget about this, especially depending what happens tomorrow in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's definitely going to take over the news if a Democrat at least keeps it close. But back to the foreign affairs piece, I do think there's a chance for the Democrats to kind of take that issue and blow it up a little bit. Donald Trump is clearly very focused on foreign affairs, ironic for a
mhm.
America First candidate. And I do think if there's some appetite to open up the big tent and say, we are now the party of focusing on America, Donald Trump only cares about these foreign affairs, foreign wars, Venezuela, narco traffickers,
Yeah,
not.
It's legacy building, right? I mean, we talked a lot about it with Biden being in office and him saying, okay, I'm not going to run for a second term. And Trump's in legacy building mode. And historically, what presidents do is they go beyond their borders and they start doing it. And you can smell it in a lot in the Ukraine-Russia proposal. Obviously, you could look at it a little bit more negatively about lining one's own pockets. Obviously, but everything that he seems to be doing or chasing, at least in the deal making sense, is legacy building. And I think you're right on the Democrats, taking advantage of that, because the shop owners left the shop, and he is consistently getting bad, marks on how well he's handling the economy, cost of living issues. You want to talk about Tennessee, that's even a number. The economy is the number one issue in that race. And, potential single digit win or loss would be, could be kind of big for the Democrats. Obviously, they're not giving up on that. And, the Republicans are circling the wagons to get people out and out of their Turkey Day snooze.
Yeah. And of course, nothing's like a straight line these days because, yes, everyone's negative on the economy. Yes, Trump is getting high disapproval ratings on that side. But the Black Friday numbers in America were great, apparently. Everyone was still spending less to buy their gifts for Christmas. So it's
Well,
never simple.
but even in those numbers, people are buying less. So, how much more? I mean, yes, those numbers were great. It was 8 billion or something like that. I believe I saw. But the amount of things that they're buying is less. So, what does that really mean? And, is that because prices have gone up so high and, people aren't able to afford more things? So, overall, it's a kind of eye-catching numbers.
Absolutely. Couple quick ones. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser announced she won't run in 2026. Anything to look out for there, or we'll just kind of skip past that headline?
I think all roads lead back to Trump. I think her experience with what happened in D.C. and the takeover of the the forces, police forces, she doesn't have far to run. And does she want another headache? Does she? I feel like time has run out on that, um, in that sense. So it might be a little bit like the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, where it's just easier to shift gears and go do something else.
Parlay into a larger position for sure. I mean, mayor of DC under a Trump administration sounds like the worst job that exists, probably. Um, so
Could be.
government switching over to we have another market out. Will the government shut down by February 2nd? Yes is 32 cents. That is really high after the previous government shutdown, Garth. I am interested. I would love to buy this no at 69 cents. I can't picture another government shutdown February 2nd. I mean, isn't that good money there?
I mean, you know, Klobuchar's come out and said that they're going to get their vote for the ACA subsidies by the end of the year. Johnson is saying, we don't like this. I feel like we're going to have another fight on our hands. And I think in the next couple weeks, this will clarify a bit. Again, I get back to Tuesday and what tea leaves are we going to learn from another election? Can you imagine the Republicans having this hang over their head that they didn't extend ACA subsidies? I mean, and if the Republicans lose another House seat and these margins, I mean, Trump's approval ratings going down the toilet. There's just so much negative energy heading towards the Republican Party at the moment but at the same time, they're so obstinate, especially in the House, and have such small margins that, just one small disagreement and everybody not rowing in the same direction. And we've already seen how the Republican Party has started to fight against Donald Trump. Not so much fight, okay, disagree or go their own way. I mean,
It's starting, right?
It's starting. I mean, he's a lame duck,
Yeah.
effectively. And he's been, as we noticed, busy, legacy building. And, people are starting to get restless. And again, like they did in 2016 when they had all three, the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and they had healthcare in their sights, they weren't able to do anything. So I don't, I mean, 32 cents, another government shutdown, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
Interesting. Wouldn't be shocked. Just to shout out, will the House pass a bill by December 31st to extend the ACA subsidies? Right now it's climbing, actually. It's at 47 cents. Maybe you're more interested in that market considering, again, I don't know. It's the conflict between Congress and the president. It's something that will hang over the midterms. It's something, I mean, I think Trump has to do a little bit of calculus to say, if we lose the House, I am truly a lame duck for those last 2 years. I just
Yeah.
don't think he's putting the puzzle pieces together, but it's very crazy, where that's gone, the ACA subsidies. It's very
He's
old.
going to have to shuffle his to-do list. I mean, I understand how much he may want the Russia-Ukraine deal and to get that out of the way, and say, okay, look, I've done this. But, there's a very real deadline that, I don't see the Republicans coming out on a positive note if they don't pass something and, people's premiums go up. I just don't. Even if it's a handful or, it could be 5 people. I just don't see how that's a winning strategy for
Mhm,
2026.
mhm. Agreed. And now let's quickly move over to the Tennessee special election that is tomorrow. We love a special election, right, Garth?
That we do.
Random election days. Tennessee's 7th district between the Republican Matt Van Epps and the Democrat Afton Benn. This contest is to fill the seat vacated by Republican Mark Green, who resigned on July 20th. And, could affect the slim Republican House majority. We're seeing this, it will come into even bigger effect when Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns in early 2026. But we see this nationalized. There is money pouring in from every which way. The Democrats are spending as much possible on this race. We see Al Gore, AOC, Kamala Harris. Everybody is getting involved. They're all campaigning with her. And we're definitely seeing this district, which was plus 22 for Donald Trump in 2024. The polling says it's closer to 50-50, which is insanity. 2 points, 2 point
Two
margin.
points. 2 points in the latest Emerson College, The Hill poll, with a 4% margin of error.
2 points, and that would be an overperform. Typically, the Democrats are winning these special elections between the actual previous vote and the vote itself by 15 points, something like that. So that this would be an even overperformance above their average in special elections now. The markets are not as convinced. We're seeing right now the Republican has an 82% or 82-cent likelihood that the Republican's going to win. And Ben is seeing 17 cents. If it's a 2 point polling race, why is the Democrat 17 cents?
Well, I think we have to look at the polling numbers. I mean, the Emerson poll is showing us that 38% are saying that the economy is the number one issue. The next biggest is housing and affordability at 15%. I mean, if I'm a Republican, I'm going, oh crap, because those are the things that we just got our butts kicked on November 4th. So, this shouldn't be a contest. This race should not be a contest. In 2022, Republican-controlled legislature split up Nashville into 3 different pieces. This should be a home run, slam dunk. Donald Trump's approval ratings are low. Donald Trump has turned his attention to the race, but it's the economy, stupid. Right now, there's a possible. Now, I will say this. I think the market is pricing in the fact that the Democratic candidate here is very liberal
Mhm.
and is not a Spanberger. It's not a Shirley. She's pretty liberal.
Yeah.
And that, I think they're factoring that in.
It's a really good test of moderation for sure. Will a moderate candidate overperform, underperform? We had this conversation with Cheryl and Spanberger and Mamdani. Mamdani actually underperformed. The other two, who were more moderate, overperformed. And if we do see Afton Ben being a little bit more left and we see Van Epps being a little bit more centrist, that 2% expected margin between the two, is that larger? Is it smaller? Is Afton Ben going to win because of all the money pouring in and all the endorsements and campaigning? I definitely think it's a very, very interesting race. The best look ahead we'll have for 2026. Just to give you some perspective, again, it's about 800,000 residents. Median age is mid-30s. Median household income is above the Tennessee average, so a little bit more affluent suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Majority white, 69% white, 16% black. Hispanics are in the single digits. Smaller kind of Asian and other populations. So it's a pretty standard district, is what you would call it. Somewhat representative of a district that needs to be in the Trump column, or sorry, the Republican column, if they want to win in 2026. So that's why this is such a big race. And I think the Democrats are more about showing this is what we can do in a tried and true 22% Trump district. We can bring this into 2026. We can bring that big tent again. You're bringing together Kamala and AOC and Al Gore. Those are three very different people, including Afton Ben. And I saw another Democrats Twitter video posted that had Bernie Sanders, who's an independent, and AOC and Mamdani, along with all of the other traditional establishment candidates, basically starting to open the door to say, actually, we are a big tent party. And I think this is going to be kind of the start of that success and that pitch in 2026. But it should be a great race.
Yeah, I mean, again, to me, it's the economy. This is the Republicans gerrymandered the heck out of Nashville, and this shouldn't be close. So if it's going to be close, it's going to be because the economy here. It's going to be a really big shining light and a big oh crap moment for Republicans if they end up losing this. And I think it will, because as you stacked it up, I mean, they need to be winning this kind of a district, but like if they don't have the confidence of the general voter in how they're handling the economy as the party in power, they're in a lot of trouble for 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll look out for that. A couple other interesting pieces tomorrow as well. I think there's a runoff in another mayoral election. Is that the Miami mayoral election?
Miami's coming up. Yeah, Miami's the 4th, I believe.
And then I think New York will also potentially certify their results
Finally.
tomorrow or Thursday. Yeah, finally. We're still at 93% estimated. Mamdani technically hasn't won. I don't know if anyone knows that, but Mamdani is still not, he's announcing policy positions. But
they're taking their sweet time. Sweet time.
However long it needs. But thanks, Garth. Appreciate your time. This has been the Predicted Weekly Markets Podcast. I'm Jacob Studwell. That's Garth Yuckham. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having us.